My husband, 31, told me last night that his boss asked him to pick up an extra shift today because of short staffing. He said, "I'm sorry I have to work on Valentine's Day." It did bother me, but it is what it is. We won't do anything over the top for Valentine's Day anyway. We have movies and cuddle and whatever. But this year is different. We have an infant daughter, so it did bother me, but I just let it go. His work schedule is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. He's worked at the same company for 9 years and his schedule has never changed, and neither has his break time. I want to point this out ahead of time. So my vehicle was at the shop and it wasn't due to be done until the 16th, but he finished today and called me around 11. So I walked with my daughter to collect my vehicle, a quarter of a mile, nothing big. After grabbing the car, I go to the gas station with a small restaurant inside. To my surprise, I see my husband's truck. Now, he works 45 minutes in the opposite direction, so even if it was his lunch break, which it wasn't, he wouldn't have been able to make it to this restaurant. I go inside and find him sitting at the table with his mom. Now, this shouldn't be a big issue, but he and I had just agreed to go no contact with this woman a month ago because she physically slapped my daughter in the face and left a red mark because my daughter, who is again an infant, bit down on her arm and she was cutting teeth. So I walked up to the table and asked him how work was going, and he stood up and told me, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to have lunch with my mom for Valentine's Day." So I said, "You want to have lunch with the witch who slapped your infant daughter across her face? Go ahead and have your lunch, but do not come home. Go stay with mommy." 2 other couples were sitting close by and they started shooting daggers at him at his mom, and one of them gasped and said "OMG" while giving my mother-in-law dirty looks. Supposedly I didn't see it, but this is what my husband texted me afterward. He followed me out to my vehicle as I was walking off and said, "It's not like I'm allowing her around our daughter. I shouldn't have even had to lie to you about having lunch with my mother. All of this is damn pathetic, and then for you to embarrass me in front of the entire restaurant." So I said, "I'd be more embarrassed that you're hanging out with an abuser, but to each their own," and got in my vehicle and left. I then went on the joint bank account and froze it after seeing a $400 purchase from his mother's favourite store, an antique shop, so he brought her shopping as well. I turned it off because more than half of that is my money. I also work full-time and make $9 more an hour than he does. Anyway, I called my friend because I'm just fuming at this point because he made the agreement to go no contact with this woman, and then he ditched me and his daughter on Valentine's Day with a lie about working just to hang out with her. But my friend says I'm being the overdramatic one and should have just left it alone and confronted him in private. Am I the idiot for embarrassing my husband? Edit, when she slapped my daughter, I ended up leaving with my baby. She fought with me when I told her to get out. Therefore, I left instead because she wasn't listening to me or my husband telling her to leave. He said he called the cops and they took a statement. They later stated that it was word of mouth and they weren't pursuing it. I now have my doubts about him ever calling the cops. Not the idiot, so he lies to you, both about work and seeing his mother. Then he takes her out for Valentine's Day and buys her an expensive present after she slaps your child. Update me when you kick him out. Also, send him a text asking if he really filed a police report when his mom slapped your baby. Make sure you get in writing his confirmation that it happened so you'll have ammunition about a restraining order, supervised visitation for him, and custody for you if you go that route. If you leave him, you still need to protect your baby. Yeah, gonna need an update on this one. He cancelled Valentine's Day with his wife and instead took his mother, who slapped his infant across the face, out to lunch and shopping. I'm seeing red on behalf of OP. Her husband and mother-in-law are trash. Lady, your husband is a lying coward. Why did he specifically pick Valentine's Day, even if you don't really do anything? Why today? Because he's her son's band and his mom's wife needed him. OP, you married a mama's boy. I'm so sorry. Also, cut off the friend who says you overreacted. If that friend doesn't see the glaring red flag here, the friend is also a red flag. Your husband lied to you and ditched you one day to be with his mom while also breaking your agreed boundary to be no contact after she abused your child. Nope to all of it. It's divorce-worthy, let alone merely making a scene. My 33 male daughter, teen, got into an argument with her brother, younger teen, because she sometimes doesn't wear bras around the house. She's still covered, but she just wears a t-shirt instead. She said that wearing a bra is painful and makes her uncomfortable, so I shouldn't mind. However, my son recently started expressing his discomfort and saying that it makes him uncomfortable and she should begin to wear bras again. My daughter heard this and got upset, saying she wasn't bothering anyone. He said he was bothered by it and she should cover up. I told her that if he's uncomfortable, she might just put on a bra when she leaves her room. She got upset and said to me that it's unfair that she has to wear a bra when her brother doesn't have to cover his man boobs. He got upset at this and accused her of making fun of him. I told him that she wasn't making fun of him and said to him that it was a fair statement. I told him that if she's also uncomfortable, then he should start wearing a shirt when he leaves his room. He started crying and accused me of calling him fat, which confused me as those words never came out of my mouth. I felt terrible and wanted to let my son know that he misinterpreted what I meant. But when I went to talk to him, he just told me to leave him alone and wouldn't stop crying, so I decided to give him some space. My wife told me that I knew how sensitive our son could be about his weight and that I should have been nicer about it. This made me feel extremely bad, and I tried to apologize to him again, but he just ignored me and wouldn't even speak or look at me. I thought I was just being fair, but I don't know. Wow, you are the idiot. If he's uncomfortable, he shouldn't stare at her chest. Unbelievable you asked her to wear a bra at home. No one does that. And also because you're more worried about hurting your son's feelings. Tell your son it's not any woman's job to make him comfortable. He shouldn't be looking at his sister's chest anyway. Dude, you're wrong for not addressing the real issue. His being uncomfortable has nothing to do with her. Bras suck. I hope they stop being the norm and become more of a rarity. If your son confided his feelings with you, you should have asked what about her not wearing a bra makes him uncomfortable and brainstormed ideas together that could help him handle his problem. Your son has no right to tell his sister how to dress. There is no reason to dictate what she wears at home. He needs to learn how to live in a world that doesn't revolve around his comfort and learn not to stare at and objectify women in the first place. As for his upset about the reference to his boobs, he screwed around and found out what commenting on other people's bodies will get him. Your son would have had a heart attack in the 70s. A whole lot of us opted out of wearing bras and in public. In our house, we have 2 birthdays coming up. My wife's son Marcel, teen, and her daughter Marceline, young teen. When I asked what they wanted for their birthday, they said that just the normal gift was great. Seeing that I was confused, my wife helpfully reminded me of the traditional luggage gift, and then I realized. There was a family tradition of giving kids a luggage set for their 16th birthday. Yes, but that was my ex-wife's family, not mine. I was never even involved. It was always a thing for them. A few decades ago, one of my ex's sisters got a job at a high-end luggage company and took over for the next gen of the family, my daughter and her cousins, because she could get it for really cheap with her discount. My daughter is the youngest of the kids on that side. Around the time she was turning 13, between the aunt knowing she would be retiring soon and some personal drama, they decided to give my daughter her set for her birthday so she wouldn't be left out. I've always thought that tradition was a stupid amount of money to be spent. Even $1,000 is way too much to spend on luggage for anyone, especially a kid. I wouldn't spend that much on myself. I tried to tell them all of this. My wife thinks that by letting my daughter participate, by accepting the gift, I've also made it my family tradition, and now I'm just singling her kids out. I'm not. Not caring about her accepting a gift from her aunts doesn't mean I don't still think it's stupid. There's a lot of difference between you can have this because it's not worth buying and you can't have this because I think it's inappropriate or dangerous. Also, it would be even more expensive for us to buy it for them than even the aunt spend on my daughter. My daughter's set cost me nothing and her aunt $1,000 as she had a discount. Buying the other kids' sets would cost me $2,000 each, so $4,000. Now everyone is upset at me because I'm making it clear that I don't care about Marcel and Marceline as much as my daughter because I'm breaking tradition and telling them they don't deserve anything that my daughter had. Am I wrong for thinking this is ridiculous? Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. So the sister of the woman you're no longer even married to is now retired and no longer buying the discounted but still crazy expensive luggage, and now your wife thinks that you should now spend a total of $4,000 on luggage for her kids who were never related to or knew the aunt? $4,000 for luggage? For teenagers? LOL, oh heck no, not the idiot. Info, why can't your wife buy them this nonsense? Oh come on, why ask this question at all? You know the answer. Because the new wife has found a wedge issue that she can use to claim OP's treatment of her and her kids is unfair, and by God above, she's not going to waste it. Excuse me, but does that luggage set go into the trunk of a Bentley? The cost of the luggage set is irrelevant, but unless you're in the top 5% income bracket, the price tag on that luggage set is ridiculous and impractical. Your wife is entitled, though, to decide that your ex-wife's traditions are now hers too. You're not breaking a family tradition. It wasn't your family's tradition. It was your in-laws. You are no longer associated with that family outside of your kids. My 32 stepdaughter is a tween, so, understandably, I look like a bit of an idiot here. So my stepdaughter Jamie lives with us full-time, and she's an absolute joy to be around. But her music drives me back-crap crazy. Not because I don't like the songs she plays, but because she listens to the same 6 songs on repeat. Circles by Post Malone, Stitches by Shawn Mendes, Nothing Holding Me Back by Shawn Mendes, Without Me by Halsey, some BTS song, and Kiss Me More by Doja Cat. So anyway, the problem is that whenever she comes into the main living area, she will turn on the Alexa and play these same songs on repeat for hours on end. Every time something that is not one of these songs comes on, she changes it to one of those songs. There have also been a few times when her brother will be listening to music and she'll change it to one of her songs. If you tell her to stop, she will say, "Your music sucks, mine's better." Never fails. That's the only thing she ever says to defend her actions. Well, today she was washing the dishes as part of her chores and she turned on the Alexa. I have zero problem with her listening to the music as long as she keeps it quiet. The Alexa is loud enough at volume 3 when it's only her in the kitchen, but instead she puts it on 5 and we can't hear ourselves think. So today I walked into the kitchen when she was doing that and said, "Alexa, volume 3. Well, my stepdaughter whips around and says, "Alexa, volume 8, and smirks at me. So I unplugged the Alexa and told her she could no longer use it. Please remember that I told her to turn the Alexa down before I went in and did it myself. She's absolutely fuming with me right now, and my husband is saying that I can't just cut her off from using the Alexa. He thinks we need to try to be more accepting of the fact that this is music that she relates to, and we shouldn't judge her for it. I've stuck to not letting her use it for the time being, however, because I'm tired of having my eardrums burst with the same 6 songs on repeat. Am I the idiot? It's been like these same 6 songs for over a year. Edit, she has headphones, a tablet and her own Spotify account. She will not wear headphones around people because she says it's a pet peeve of hers. Not the idiot. The living room is a common area and she can go in her room and listen to the songs on repeat. You told her to turn it down, she didn't, so you did, then she turned it up louder and completely disrespected you. So is your husband okay with her not listening to and respecting you? Your husband is the problem here. Tell her to get over her pet peeve and wear headphones. What kind of monster does your husband want to raise, saying you can't just cut her off when she's purposefully being abusive with sound? Tweens do not get to be in charge of the house. The smirk is what did it for me. Smirk? You lose all manner of privileges. Right? She knows exactly what she's doing. She would have been permanently banned from the Alexa simply for turning around and cranking it up to 8 while smirking. She can go to a damn room and listen to them quietly or put headphones in. She's being massively childish, and her pet peeve does not mean she gets to drive everyone else insane for her comfort. That's just BS. Losing the Alexa isn't the only thing that should happen. My nearly adult half-sister is pregnant. She didn't want an abortion. It's too late at this point anyway. She also doesn't want to give up her baby for adoption. Dad and her mom are not supportive of this at all. They said if she has a baby, she's going to have to figure everything out on her own, and as soon as she turns 18, she has to move out. The baby's dad isn't interested in being involved and is unlikely to pay child support given his occupation. I'll just say he works in a cash business. My husband and I also have been looking into alternative ways to have children because of fertility issues. We've already gone through the process of fostering, only for the child to be taken away and given back to their biological mother. While we know it was for the good of their child and the mother, it was still heartbreaking for us. We don't want to go through that again. So we looked into private adoption and we're expecting possibly to have a baby in a few months. Of course, we're trying not to get overly excited just in case things fall through. My sister thinks the best solution is for us to raise her baby for a few years while she finishes school and gets herself established in a career. She thinks it will be too hard to do that while she takes care of her baby alone. She also pointed out that we're already preparing to care for a baby. We aren't enthusiastic about this idea because we're not confident about handling 2 babies simultaneously. So taking my sister's baby would mean we would have to pass on the other baby. The situation with my sister's baby would be the same situation with fostering. We would raise a child for years, only for the child to be taken away, and we don't want to do that again. My sister says it's different because we'll still get to see and know her child as their aunt and uncle. It doesn't seem likely we'd be able to see the child very often after they go back to my sister, since we live so far away. It would be a different matter if we were adopting her baby, but she doesn't want that. We didn't push it, but she was quite angry at the suggestion and accused us of coercing her to give up her baby like our dad and her mom. She's insisting she just wants it to be temporary until she's financially self-sufficient. I just bought a house I can't afford. I know you were thinking about a house, so instead of that, can you just pay my mortgage and take care of my house for a few years until I can afford to kick you out and keep the equity? Not to mention, what's that going to do to the kid's mental health? You are not the idiot. Don't do it. To add to your analogy, hey, the house is in disrepair, so I'll need you to do the heavy lifting and labor-intensive parts of renovating the house, so when I finally come back into the picture, it's easier sailing for me. Newborns are pretty needy and take a lot of time and energy. Half-sister wants none of that but to deal with the child as they get to the toddler stage. Also, what if Sissy has another accidental pregnancy? I wonder who she'll expect to pick up the slack there too. And it doesn't matter if baby daddy isn't interested in being involved. That's what court-ordered child support is for. Sounds like baby sis wants to loan out her kid while she establishes herself, and it doesn't matter to her at all. It'll be at OP's and the kid's expense. OP, you are preparing for a baby, but not your sister's baby.